How's it going, everyone? It's Sam. Today we're going to take a look at some of the oil tanker stocks because they have had a pretty big day. And this was something that was pretty hard to figure out why they were having such a good day. But we're going to take a look at it because I think I found the indication or the roundabout way why these stocks are going up. And we're also going to take a look at AMD and Intel because they have had some interesting news over the last week or so, and both of them have been fluctuating in price a lot, with Intel dropping down significantly and AMD jumping up significantly in their competitors. So it's an interesting thing to look at for the next 5 to 10 years, what kind of market share they're going to get and the difference in position that they're going to be in a couple of years compared to where they are now. So if you guys like this kind of stuff, please give me a thumbs up. It really helps out the channel. This is the 4th video I am preparing because I'm actually going on vacation next week. So I'm trying to build up some content for next week. So that way I still continue the 1 video a day. Also, if you want, you can use links down below to WeBull and M1 Finance. It really helps me out. They are affiliates. So if you deposit $100 with WeBull, you can get 2 free stocks, one worth up to $1,400. And then if you start with M1 Finance, that's really my favorite broker. I'm actually going to make a review video on them and why I like them more than every other broker and every other investing app out there. So be on the lookout for that. But we'll get right into NAT. So NAT was up about 4.5% on the day. They were up even higher than that partway through the day. And I tried to figure out why they were up. It was very difficult. I tried looking up everything on the company. I couldn't find it. If we look at STNG, they're also up 5.5%. If we look at DHT, they're also up 3%. Those are the 3 oil tanker stocks that I'm invested in. Now, again, with all these, I could not find it. However, 2 things I think are driving this price. So I've watched their spot tanker rates and they've just kind of been stagnant, going up and down a little bit. So it's not that they're charging more. However, I think one thing to keep in mind is with a lot of these ex-dividend dates coming up for the last quarter dividends, I think that a lot of people are trying to buy in, hoping to be able to take advantage of that dividend. Now, with DHT and NAT, they both have higher dividends. So NAT is going to have a 20-cent dividend. DHT is still pretty significant too, I believe, or it has been over the last couple quarters. STNG stays around the same price for their dividend. They give out 10 cents each quarter because they're trying to pay down debt. However, I think some people are trying to get in for that. But there also has been some news for OPEC. So over the last couple months, we've had this oil shutdown or this decreased output in oil that some of the oil producing countries have agreed to. However, if we look in this article here from oilprice.com, it is labeled "Oil Markets Face New Glut as OPEC Prepares to Open the Taps." So this is just from a few days ago. It says here that amid the second wave already hitting several countries, they scaled back their total liquids or crude, condensate, other liquids, refinery grains, demand recovery expectations in the short term. So they're saying because a lot of these countries are going through a second wave, there just isn't the demand that they thought there was going to be. Between August and October, they will stay flat at around 90.5 million barrels per day, and then they will rise to about 92.9 million barrels per day in November and about 94.6 million barrels per day in December. Unlike demand, global oil supply is set for a mini growth rally after reaching an astonishing low of 86.4 million barrels per day in June. So that was when they were still under those decreased output numbers that they had agreed to. And it's expected 88.2 million barrels per day in July. The planned output increases from the OPEC alliance and the reactivation of other global shut-in production is forecast to push supply to 91.2 million barrels per day in August, 92.5 million barrels per day in September, about 92.9 million barrels per day in October, and 93.3 in November before closing at 93.4. So in the short term, between August and October, they're saying that they're going to be able to just use about 90.5 million barrels per day while making about 91 to 93 million barrels per day. So they're going to increase about 2 million barrels per day from what they're producing and what we're using. Now, this will build up the supply, obviously, possibly having to store more oil in more places. So a lot of people might turn back to these oil tanker stocks to supply oil if the price drastically goes down. Now, this is assuming that we don't have another increase in production or increase in drilling. And it's also assuming that we don't have a longer downturn where if we stay shut down for a while or just the economy doesn't get back to where it was and we don't need all this oil, then the numbers might even be higher for the oil production and lower for the oil consumption. So that is something to keep in mind. Now, I think that we'll continue to see these prices go up and down. I mean, over the last 5 days, we've seen a nice increase in NAT of about 9%, but it can go up and down. As we know, it over the last month, it was going up and down almost every day or two. So that's just something to keep in mind. If you want to sell out, this might be a good time now that it's increased a little bit, but I'm still holding on to my shares. I own NAT, DHT, and STNG, and I plan on holding out for a while until earnings because I want to both collect the dividend, and then I also want to see if the price will jump up if they have great earnings and everyone else has poor earnings. Turning to Intel. Intel had some interesting news last week that caused the price to go down dramatically. They're trading around $60 to $61 last week, and now they're at $48, about a 20% decline. And what happened was, if we look here, there was an announcement that Intel was delaying their release of its 7 nanometer chips until at least late 2020. They had some manufacturing issues and it was going to push out their chip date and when they were going to be able to get these chips in for a significant amount of time. Now, on the other hand, AMD has already had these 7 nanometer chips and has spent all of 2020, or a lot of it, releasing more and more versions of them. So they've been trying to continuously improve on what they've already had out there. Now, if we go a little bit further down, this analyst says that he sees AMD capturing 20% share of market servers. So by 2023, they're saying that they'll be able to capture 20% of the market in servers. He's also saying that he expects AMD to capture 35% of the notebook market, up from the current 20%, 40% of desktops, basically doubling what they have now, and then 10% share of the data center GPUs, up from 3% today. So a lot of people have been asking me whether I think Intel is a buy right now, because it has gone down so dramatically and it's been a really nice company to hold on to for a while here. Their revenues have continuously increased. This is just really a good sign. Even this year they've increased. Their net income has doubled over the last couple of years. And this is something where normally in a normal market environment, I'd say that this is a good buying opportunity. However, AMD has been gaining market share, and a lot of people have been asking me whether I think that Intel is a buy right now, and I'm nervous about it because of AMD gaining market share. So looking at AMD, they've had almost the opposite that Intel has had. So they've been up about 27% on the news of Intel having these issues. If we look at AMD, their revenue is about 10 times smaller than Intel, right? So they have about $7.5 billion worth of revenue there as opposed to the $78 billion or so that Intel has. Their net income is steadily increasing from negative $660 million all the way up to positive $340 million and then up to $609 million this last year. This is an interesting company to me. This is something that I'd be more willing to invest in, I think, than Intel, because when people have asked me what I'm going to do and whether I'll buy Intel, the thing that I've been saying is that Intel has been a great company, but they're going to lose a lot of market share, I think, to AMD, not only because AMD is growing so significantly, but this is going to set them back. Their Intel chips being delayed is going to set them back. And I'm afraid of them losing market share because they're the size they are because they have a stranglehold on the market, right? However, AMD is on the come up right now. They're gaining market share like crazy. And I think that they are really the company to invest in. The fact that they're going to probably be able to double their market share over the next 3 to 5 years. I've also heard that with Intel pushing these back, it's going to push back subsequent innovations and subsequent chips for the next maybe 3 years or so. So that is something that just makes me a little bit cautious to invest in them. It's not like they had some news like Facebook with the ad boycott. If other companies were going to be able to take Facebook's market share, and a lot of people, let's say, not only they were losing money on the ads, but then also people that use Facebook as an app were going to move apps because of it, then maybe I could see that being an issue. But in the short term, Facebook dipped a significant amount, and all the people that are using Facebook are still using Facebook. So all the businesses are going to go right back to buying ads for Facebook. However, with this, a lot of the clients will have to switch because they will need the newest technology, I think. So that is something to keep in mind whether you are looking at buying the stock. But I'd be interested in hearing what you say. What do you think about both NAT and the oil tanker stocks and AMD/Intel? I'd be interested in hearing whether you're buying them or selling them, or what you plan on doing with those stocks. I really appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys don't mind using the like button right down below, and then also if you want those links, you can get some free stocks and start your investing journey. Like I said, it really helps me out just personally making this content when people are using the affiliate links, obviously. So I really appreciate that. And if you do want to join our Patreon, we have a couple new members as of just the last couple weeks. You can join and you can get access to our Discord server where you can talk investments with us. We talk regularly, pretty much every day, about different investments, different news, kind of what our goals are. And it's a fun group to join. And if you have any questions on that, let me know. Otherwise, I will just see you guys in the next video. I appreciate it. Bye.